Good job.
My uncle was really a parent to me. This is the first parent I lose. So I wanted to write something for him. On the morning of Saturday, April 9th, I learned that my Uncle Ricardo, the slightly smaller and louder version of my father, was no longer with us. He died of a broken heart. Broken, finally, after a life overwhelmed by tremors of loss. Tragically, this was the one broken thing in the universe Ricardo couldn't fix. A mastermind of the built world, with a nurturing soul, he had the power to produce miracles of repair. Everyone who knew him saw his magical force at one time or other. The rules never applied to him, which made him outstandingly inventive and an endearing menace to society. Ricardo was born on December 18, 1956, in Santiago, Chile. He was the third son of my Grandma Lali and Grandpa Moises, but he eventually met his fate as the middle child of 5. Ever in search of attention, he earned the nickname Perro Faldero, or lapdog. He loved so much to be with people. Legend has it he was a picky eater, but knowing him, it was likely an awareness of intolerance. His pre-baking soda for stomach acid. Some say it's the indigestion of life, frustration, that makes the heart burn. At 13, Ricardo lost his father to cancer. The earth often quakes in Chile, but the loss of my grandfather, coupled with the country's political instability at the time, produced a uniquely large seismic shift. Just this week, I was reading about the difficulty of mothers in Ukraine, having to hold their families together single-handedly without enough income. It's a systemic tragedy of war that families must separate, that the burden often falls on single mothers to choose safety or togetherness. My Grandma Lali had to make this choice. Ricardo's beloved older brothers, Titin and Sammy, left for Israel, and he would follow with my father in 1972, only 15 years old. They left their mother, their sister, extended family. Not to call you out.
Trying really hard.
Please hold.
It's a force of nature now.
We will take this time to ask everyone to please silence your phones.
They left their mother, their sister, extended family, and a homeland under siege. One generation to be dispersed across 4 continents. Intended as a move towards safety, Israel became a site of major loss and depression. Ricardo and I shared our troubles with mood and inability to digest the harsher moments of life. We shared our heartburn, and we shared our baking soda. When you described the lows in Israel to me, I felt them. I also understood how carving discarded wood and dried avocado pits, or playing with the dog, were just enough to alkalize the acidity of life. Ricardo was an artist. He was the artist parent I needed. Someone to make me truly believe that anything I dreamed was buildable. I believed him because he proved it to me, time and again, never settling for conventional beliefs. One time we fixed a broken limb on a tree with duct tape. He explained to me that it was still green enough to fuse back. We called it our patient, and we checked on it each time he visited, and sure enough, it healed. So imagine this tree-whispering eccentric outlaw becoming its soldier in the Israeli army. It was not a great fit. I think he just stopped showing up, and I'm proud of him for that. Though Israel had its lows, it was also the site of reunion among the Grass brothers, the strongest band of brothers I know. They supported each other across all obstacles, geographic, financial, and emotional. It's a miracle they remain so close while separated, for the next generation, mine, to know and love each other like siblings. This is the proof of the strength of their love. The first time Ricardo came to New York was for my parents' wedding. And as they tell it, he never left. All my life, my dad and my Uncle Ricardo were inseparable. As a young child, I remember relying on their size difference to tell them apart. As I got older, I learned their differences, the unique ways they each pronounce things wrong, their energy levels, their temperaments. I learned how siblings can go through the same experience and have such wildly different perspectives. But at the same time, I saw them as one organism, Ricardos. That wasn't even the punchline. They were my gay dads. I affectionately named them that when my parents divorced and we moved in together here in Long Island City. Home was most important to Ricardo, something he continually searched for. Wherever he went, he wanted to meet everyone, to become part of the community. Throughout my early childhood, he lived on East 87th Street, and to me, Uncle Ricardo was synonymous with New York City, my future home. He would proudly march my brother Adam and I around his neighborhood, introducing us to strangers, pointing out the lobbies he'd installed marble in, walking into any restaurant kitchen and striking up conversation, and taking us to play at Carl Schur's playground. I think it was Adam who named him Ripapo, and that name stuck for us until the end. While Ripapo never had children of his own, he was a master at making kin. Making kin, not babies, is how philosopher Donna Haraway puts it. She suggests that for earthly survival, we should learn to see all earthlings as kin. In her words, making kin is the new ethical path to being around species where uncanniness and strangeness is accepted. Ricardo knew how to accept everybody's strangeness: humans, animals, plants, and the bacteria that lived in his gut. Perhaps the dispersion of his family at a young age enabled him to see everyone as family. He knew loneliness, and so he could comfort the lonely. He treated everyone with a deep sense of the familiar. Adam and I got a bonus father, and all of our friends got an extra uncle. In the neighborhood where we grew up, everyone just called him Uncle Ricardo. Here in Long Island City, he found more family, brothers and sisters of all generations and species. He truly loved you all. And it was here in Long Island City that he met the love of his entire life, Elizabeth Maven Grass, his honey, his little one, Bethita. Whoever witnessed the miracle of Ricardo and Beth's fight against cancer saw the life-giving force of Ricardo's love. He kept her with him as long as he could, never giving up, never trusting a prognosis he didn't want, never accepting an expert opinion over his own desired outcome. In his typical stubbornness, he added years to her life. I think it was even a decade. But in the end, we all succumbed, and when we lost Beth in 2012, a part of Ricardo went with her. He was always very loyal to those he loved, always giving, gifted at anticipating the needs of others. I will miss watching him cook. He loved to cook for me. Always with some unique process, like tenderizing meat with 3 leaves of pineapple. Soaking legumes in cold water overnight so they'd break down and cause less gas. His clam bakes, his shakshuka. When it came to recipes, he only trusted himself, a true inventor. There was also his homemade kitty litter. The way he baked, you're gonna laugh after all of these mistakes. The way he baked his shoes after polishing them. The way he built shelving using threaded rods and bolts floor to ceiling so they'd be stronger.
Yeah.
Tilex for athlete's foot. Recommend it. When he experimented. And of course his epic New York City souvenir business landmarks. Where do I even begin? He taught himself everything. Carving, mold making, pewter casting, diamond cut engraving. I think of him every time I interact with my students. He was truly my greatest sculpture professor. It's hard to think of Ricardo, my tiniest uncle, and not feel inspired to build bigger, to grow into all my impossible artistic dreams. It's hard to think of Ricardo without thinking of his smile, which actually did span from ear to ear. That's what he wanted us to focus on, and that's what he wanted to be his full truth. So in closing, I'm going to ask everybody to close your eyes, and I want you to, actually do it. I'm not just playing here.
She's not kidding.
And I want you to imagine Ricardo's smile, the best image that you remember. And you had a slideshow, so you've been able to cheat. But think of his smile. And maybe you hear one of those loud cackles he would make. And maybe hear him in your mind shouting the nickname he had for you. I know you had one, but if you didn't have one, it was just a nickname by being in his accent. And you can open your eyes now. I want just to, in his honor, say, let's all look out for each other's hearts as well as he would have. And let's be as fearlessly inventive, stubbornly, and lovingly ourselves.
Amen. Thank you, Sarah.